Successful people learn how to make their minds work for them.
We are Life is Now, and this is the Successful Mind Podcast. All right, David. So today we are beginning to talk about vision.
Okay.
And the reason that we're talking about vision is because we're seeing that a lot of business owners get tripped up with this question, right? With this question of vision. I think for a number of reasons. One is they think that once they speak their vision out loud, that it's set in stone, so they feel pigeonholed by someone asking them what their vision is. And I think two, especially when you're talking about new business owners, their vision is just to pay the bills.
I've had that vision before.
When I was starting, and I told the story before, like when I first left my teaching career and went into business for myself, my vision was to just replace my teacher income. Like that's as far as I could see. Like, I'm just going to do this and see if I can actually replace my teacher income so that I could keep doing it. I didn't really see anything past that. But then the problem is that you hit that goal and then you're sitting there with, well, what's next?
Yeah, and what's next? What's next? It's interesting. It's an interesting lateral move, replacing the income. It's kind of like you're saying, I don't want to live this way anymore. I want to do something different, but I have to replace this responsibility. I have to prove to myself that I can do this on my own. And what the fascinating thing about it is that even though it might be the same amount of money, you're actually creating the money versus showing up at a job where somebody else then pays you. I mean, there's so much more that goes into that. It becomes a very interesting process. But like you said, then it's like, well, where am I now? What now? Where am I going from here? And I think one of the things that troubles people is even people I've known that have had like an incredible vision, they very often back it down because it feels safer. Like, what if I screw up? What if I can't do this? When I worked with Proctor back in the day, he used to do a coaching thing where he would say, you don't want to come from what you think you can do. You want to come from what you truly want. So like, if you just took all the training wheels off, right? You had the magic wand and the floating star, how far out would you go in your mind? What would you literally create? But people would retract from that, and they would go to what they think that they can accomplish. The problem is that those are usually two very different places.
Oh, 100%. I think a lot of people get stuck around their vision is because they immediately go to how. And if they can't see the how, then they won't let themselves have that vision.
Well,
right?
Okay, so it's not just see the how. It's see the how without being seen. For most of them.
Oh, yeah.
Right? The exposure behind, like, here's all these things that I have to do, but I don't want to be seen doing them because what if I screw up?
Right.
Right?
Yeah. They're thinking about what they're going to lose based on their vision rather than what they're going to gain.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I think, I just did this really cool activity this week. And I've done this a couple of times, but, we're kind of going through, we're very much going through a rebrand right now.
Yep.
And our vision is changing a little bit. So I sat down, Brandon and I left and we went camping in our Airstream. We went glamping. I'm not a camper. Let's just get that clear right now. I am not a camper.
No, you're
my butt will never be sleeping on the ground, right? Like that's not happening. So we went and we got online this really cool app called Hip Camp, and we found this beautiful piece of property that this retired couple had, and they put 2 RV pads on their site, so it's totally secluded. Anyway, I digress. We went.
Well, wait a second. So these people have a beautiful piece of land, and they put 2 full hookups on their property and rent it out to travelers, RVers.
Yes, and manicured trails, and I mean it's like we were staying in a state park.
Oh shit!
But it was their 77 acres. And they were just, they had worked all their lives. They had retired. They have this big piece of property. They've got a beautiful garden on it, and they just wanted to provide an experience for other people.
That's thinking. Like I love it when people get creative about what they have. People have so much more than they think that they have if they could just get the vision.
It's true. And they were so, it was very clear to me. They met us on the property and showed us back to where our site was. And it was so clear to me that they took so much pride in it.
Yeah.
And it was like so close to their heart to provide this experience for people looking to get away and kind of reconnect.
And you said they are retired, this couple?
They're retired. They're a retired couple. I'm guessing they're probably in their maybe early 70s, late 60s, early 70s. Just the sweetest couple that decided to create this experience for people and make a little money on the side. I mean, they got 2 RV pads. They're charging $60 a night. So, a little passive income, $120 if they rent it out,
As long as it doesn't turn into a Stephen King novel, we're okay.
No. No. And we were in the middle of North Carolina, and, at one point, Brandon and I were like, well, if we hear banjos, we know we need to hightail it out of here.
That is true. You have to watch out for banjos.
Banjos were not heard, so we're good. Anyway, wow. What was I talking about? Oh, so I got away this weekend, and I have this great book called Vivid Vision. It's by Cameron Herold. He's supposedly the CEO whisperer. He helps people really get clear on what their vision is. And I sat outside for maybe, 4 or 5 hours working on my vision, my specific vision for where we're going as a company. And it was interesting because I think I even had a misconception around vision a little bit. We've been taught so many different ways to create a vision. What is your financial goal? Is that your vision? No, that's a goal. Should I do a vision board?
Uh-huh.
Okay, a vision board's great for you, but it's not in terms of sharing with your company, because someone else sees your vision board and thinks something completely different than what you see on your vision board. So he really comes from painting a picture of where you're going to be in 3 years. And it was interesting because as I was reading the book, there were distinct parallels between what we teach in terms of gratitude. So we teach gratitude in terms of being grateful for things yet to come.
Yeah.
I'm so grateful that I have this, and this, even though you don't have this and this, right? You're projecting into the future, being grateful for the things that are coming toward you. So this is really about seeing yourself 3 years down the line and looking at every single aspect of your business and what you want to be happening in your business in 3 years. And the idea behind it is that you can be as creative as you want, that it's not written in stone, that just because you write it down doesn't mean that it has to happen. But what I found is that it opened up this, this door into possibility, into what could be, without focusing on the how. Nowhere in there are you focusing on the how. You're only focusing on where you want to be in 3 years.
So is he leading you visually or emotionally down this path?
Both. So it's, how do you want to feel? How do you see things happening? How are other people feeling? What is your team looking forward to? It really takes the onus away from how much money are you going to make in 3 years, which then immediately clicks your mind into how, to a holistic view of what you want your business to look like in 3 years. In 3 years, because 5 years is really far. 5 years is tough for people to see.
Especially today. With how fast things move today, 5 years 50 years used to be,
We couldn't have, honestly, we couldn't have seen 5 years ago where we are right now.
No,
to be honest.
So that's an interesting comment, because before COVID, you and I were on a completely different trajectory, right? We were traveling all over the place, doing various different things, thinking we were building one way, think we were building a media company one way. And then COVID came and it changed absolutely everything that we were doing.
Right. And we just couldn't have seen that 5 years ago where we are right now.
Nope.
And he is really a big proponent of 3 years, because you can see 3 years down the road. 3 years come quicker than you think, right? But yet it's a long enough time where you can see some massive changes happening. So the premise is that you start with giving yourself that space to really dream about what you want your business to be like, and what you want to have happening. You take a look at what the culture is going to be like, what the vibe is going to be like, how your team is going to operate, what's happening with marketing, what's happening with sales, what's happening with operations, what's happening with, all the different parts and the departments. And some companies have more departments than other companies, but basically kind of an overview of where, in present day, 3 years from now, What do you want to be feeling? What do you want to be experiencing? What do you want to be seeing? And what do the people around you, how will they be experiencing you? How will your clients experience you? What kinds of experiences will you be providing for your clients? So that you can really get emotionally involved with that vision rather than it being focused on, I want to build a big company and be making, 7+ figures.
Yeah.
So it comes from a more inspirational standpoint where I can feel myself getting excited about thinking about it. And then the idea is that you put it together in like a packet and you share it with the team and everybody reads together. And the idea is that when you state your vision like that, you either have team members that are 100% in alignment and it fires everybody up, or you have team members that opt out because they're not in alignment with that vision. And that's a good thing, right? That's a positive thing.
Right.
But I think what people don't understand is that the purpose of the vision is really to help you know where you're going, to help you get an idea of where you're going. And when you're first starting in business, you really just want to make the money that you need to take care of your family.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
But once you've hit that goal, then we see business owners really get stuck on what's next.
Well, a person has to learn to get out of survival mode. Right?
Right.
You really are not going to be in a creative flow to think 3 years down the road if you're worried about how much money you're making this month in order to pay the bills.
Yeah. And then the idea is that once you have this vision and you're feeling really good about it and it's all written out and it's shared, then everybody's on board and you and your team begin to reverse engineer how to get to that 3-year goal.
That's cool.
Right?
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, so I'm a big fan of Legos, just Lego. Sorry for you hardcore Lego people. You do not say an S at the end of no.
It's like moose. You don't say mooses.
No.
You don't say
it's
Lego.
Lego.
I didn't know that.
So Brandon and I, when the kids left, Brandon and I started this little thing where sometimes at night we put together giant Lego sets. It's true. And it's amazing.
Why do I not know this? Why?
We have put together the craziest Lego sets. We've put together the Hogwarts Castle. We've done the Millennium Falcon. Total nerds. Like, this is something we do, like, together. So
this replaces the wine and cheese nights from days gone by, huh, Tuss? Yeah, okay.
We're not big drinkers. Well, Brandon doesn't drink at all. But sometimes, at night after we've had a really long day or I'm feeling a little bit brain tired, Legos is so perfect because you see the picture of where you're going and then you get to work building. And it's so satisfying because I have my role and Brandon has his role. And my rule is that I sort all the pieces because he's colorblind, a little colorblind. He's a little sensitive about it. But I sort the pieces because
what colors can he not see?
Reds,
I'm learning all new stuff here.
Reds, greens, and grays. Has a tough time with reds, greens,
and grays.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. So I sort them, right? And I look at the book and I see what pieces he needs and then I set them aside and then he looks at how to build it. So we each have our role. And what ends up happening is sometimes we don't even talk. We're just it's like a meditative practice to build these Legos. I'm sure it's how some people feel with puzzles, which I'm a big fan of.
That's what I was thinking, like a jigsaw puzzle.
It's like a big jigsaw puzzle, yeah. Except for the Lego has specific instructions on how you put it together, and if you don't put it together correctly, then you can't go to the next step. You gotta dismantle it. You gotta dismantle it and start over.
Okay.
So it's that the vision is the picture of the box, right? The vision is the end product, the end piece, and then the idea is that you reverse engineer how you're going to get to that finished piece. It's very much like what happens in business. Without that vision of where you're going, you can't reverse engineer how to get anywhere. You just stay in reactive mode, right? It's like, I'm going to overcome this problem, then there's another problem, then I'm going to overcome this problem, and then there's another problem, then I'm going to overcome this problem, and then there's another problem, rather than having a really clear vision of where you want to go, like crystal clear vision of where you want to go, not just a goal, not just, I want to make this much or I want to build the company to this big, but a clear vision, which includes how you're going to give back. That was the most inspiring part of my vision. I've got some ideas of what I want to be a part of and how I want to give back. But the idea is that without that end goal in mind, it's really hard to reverse engineer how to get anywhere. And you just end up being this puppet being kind of pulled side to side, overcoming each obstacle in your business. Whereas when you have that when you have that vision at the end, almost like this prize at the end, you can stay more focused. Yes, you're going to veer off here and there. I mean, that happens with every business. There's always obstacles. That's part of being in business.
True.
But the idea is that without that vision, you're all over the place. You're circling and kind of feeling lost sometimes. Whereas when you have that vision, you may get off track a little bit, but you're still on line to achieve that. That's
fascinating. Now I can't get the damn Legos out of Lego out of my. Seriously, it's not. There's no plural to that. I've called it Legos my whole damn life.
Same, and it's wrong.
It's wrong.
Yes.
How are you made notified of this? Somebody corrected you?
So there's this really cool show. I have no idea what network it's on.
No.
Brandon knows. There's this really is it called Master Builders? Lego Masters. Thanks, Brandon. It's called Lego Masters. It is the coolest show. So I love building things, right? So I'm an integrator. So we watch the show, and basically these people are put in teams, and they're tasked with building something amazing. And then I guess the judges vote on who stays and who goes. But they don't have a plan. Like, it's just a wall full of different Legos. So they have to collaborate as a team on what they're going to build, and then they actually have to build it from scratch with these Legos. Like, there's no manual that tells them what to do.
You mean Lego?
Lego. God dang it. There's no manual that shows them how to put stuff together, right?
Okay.
They just see a picture in their mind of what it is they want to build.
So they can build anything.
They can build anything.
Okay.
There's usually a theme. I think there's a theme. It's been a while since I've watched it, but like storybook, or comic book theme, or they have to build a bridge that can withstand the most weight. So they get together as this team, they think about it, they collaborate, and then they just go to work building it. And they build it like they can see. It's amazing to me. They can see the vision of what they want to build, and then they can pick out the tiniest little freaking Lego bricks and begin to build it brick by brick, and it ends up turning out to be what they saw in their mind. It's a really good show.
All right. Well, we have a recommendation. What's the name of the show again? Say again.
Lego Masters.
What is it, T?
It's on Fox. It's on Fox. Lego Masters.
Lego Masters.
Yes. It's kind of incredible. We found it during COVID because my kids and Brandon have always been big Lego people, and I have not been. So I'm a recent convert into the Lego world, and I have to say that it's very, very fun and quite therapeutic, actually, because it totally turns my brain off from thinking about business to being more relaxed.
Well, I used to build stuff like that as a kid. We did Legos quite a bit when I was a kid, and model Lego, Lego, and Revel models like hot rods and funny cars and ships and World War II airplanes and stuff. We used to do a ton of that when I was a kid.
The same thing applies to a house, right? Like when you're building a house, and I know this because we're just wrapping up finishing building a house in Montana.
Is it made of Lego?
No, it's not made of Lego.
I'm just checking.
No, please God, no. But when you build a house, you start with the end in mind.
Yeah.
Right? You don't just say, I'm going to build a house and it's just going to end up looking like whatever it's going to look like. You start with a very, very clear picture of what you want that house to look like, and then you put together the plans to build it. Now, that doesn't mean that in business, when you create a vision, that as soon as the vision's created, you're going to see every single step along the way.
Right.
Right? The idea is that when your vision is created, you're going to see the first step. And then once you've taken action on the first step, you'll see the second step. And then once you take an action on the second step, you'll take the third step, right?
Yep.
So the idea is that you have enough trust in yourself and faith in the people around you that you can put forth a vision and know that no matter what happens, you'll get there.
Yep.
You'll get there.
Yeah, I love that.
And it also doesn't mean that the vision won't change. My vision 10 years ago is different than my vision now. I mean, your first vision was you wanted to buy a boat and have a piece of property in northern Wisconsin.
Yep, that was it. That was the deal. That was life. That was my entire life when I was, 24, 25 years old?
Yeah. And my first vision was to just replace my teacher income, to prove to everybody that I could actually do it.
Right.
You know?
The thing for me is, because I'll never forget this, and I'm still to this day trying to remember where the hell I picked this up. I think I've figured it out. But when I was on the dock, I think it was a leftover goal setting process for Metropolitan Life. But anyway, it said write down 100 goals, right? Don't think about how you can accomplish them. Just write them down. And I remember sitting there going, 100? And I could only come up with 3. I can only come up with 3 things that I wanted. And part of the reason that I was stuck was that I guess I could not separate from the how. I could, in my mind, does that make sense? Like, it's like, why should I pick something when I have no idea how to frickin' get this damn thing?
I'm just going to fail again.
So I'm stuck on this damn forklift. It was a big stretch for me just to think about a house, right?
Yeah.
So, and the Wisconsin thing, if you remember the story, it was for retirement, right? Yeah. So I was projecting 60 years into the future, with that goal. But as I broke through, the vision began to change rapidly, actually.
I think that's what happens. Like when you give yourself the permission to want even something small, you're saying yes to something, and that yes creates another opportunity for another yes, right?
Yeah.
So this is kind of a segue into something I just thought about in terms of building your business. There's when we're sitting down on a team retreat and team meetings and we're looking at what's the next how in getting to our goal, there's a question that I ask our team, and then we reverse engineer backwards based on that question. Just so happens that on Wednesday of this week, I'm going to be taking people through that process. It's kind of a lengthy process. It'll probably take about 30 minutes.
Yeah.
But I'm taking them through that on our upcoming free training called How to Build a Multi-7-Figure Business, how to reverse engineer a multi-7-figure business, So if anybody listening is interested in that and wants to know that question and wants to begin thinking about how to reverse engineer from their business, I highly recommend that you attend. It's 100% free. We're just doing it for our audience.
Where can they find out more about that?
No strings attached. Actually, we have a link that I think we can post in. Can we post a link in show notes? I think we can post a link in the show notes. And then honestly, the easiest thing might be to just DM me. So if you follow me on Instagram, my Instagram is at Steph Tuss, STEPHTUSS. I will zap you over the link if you want to opt in, or you can actually DM David as well, because he'll have the link at that time.
I bet you a lot of people will be interested in that.
It's going to be great. It's actually a 3-part training, and this is the first part of it, of like how to reverse engineer a multi-7-figure business. And the idea is that you start with that end in mind, whatever that business looks like for you.
Yeah.
Whether it's a lifestyle business that you want or it's an empire that you want, it doesn't really matter. It should all start from the vision and work backwards. So just if you're thinking about it, if you're interested, join us. It'll be a lot of fun.
That sounds great. That sounds absolutely amazing. Do they get a Lego set with it? No. I can't get off of this now.
We have 3 boxes waiting for us at home. We have a giant city that we're building, and then we also have like Thanos's glove, or I don't know, some Marvel thing that's pretty cool. It's all gold, which is going to be like really challenging because all the pieces are the same color. But it's just nice.
So there's different themes and stuff.
Yeah.
That's fascinating.
Yeah, it's cool stuff, and it's also a lesson in starting with the end in mind. Right? You got to know where you're going.
I mean, wait a minute. How about Lincoln Logs? You guys do Lincoln Logs?
Oh my God, you're dating.
Remember
yourself.
those? Yeah. Do they even make those anymore?
No.
Probably not, right?
Lincoln Logs were hard because you didn't actually start from any kind of like picture to build backwards. You just kind of
you built your own thing.
Stuff.
It was built a cabin, right?
Yeah,
it was always some kind of cabin. It could be multi-floor cabin, and it always had the green wood slats that you would then stack on top.
Yeah.
1970s.
Yeah,
Bring back the 70s. Woo!
So I think there's something to be said for giving yourself, as a business owner, giving yourself the time and space to really dream about what you want without any limits, without thinking about the how. I think you'll really be surprised at what comes out of that when you kind of take off the restriction of, oh, geez, I don't think I want to pick this vision because I'm not sure I know how to get there.
Yeah.
And just allowing yourself to fantasize a little bit. I think that's how anything changes. Is that dreaming? It's that daydreaming. It's that fantasy. It's that, engaging your imagination and the creativity of it all. But before I started working with you, my big want was freedom. I didn't even know what that looked like. I just know that I wanted freedom. And so Brandon and I, after we put the kids to bed at night, we would go into our basement because that's where our TV was. We had a family room in our basement. And we would watch No Reservations with Anthony Bourdain.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And we would dream about the places that we would go and the food that we would eat and the freedom that we would have. And I think that was really pivotal in helping me make a lot of the changes that I wanted to make, because I knew I wanted to have those experiences. I knew that was part of, not all of, but part of my vision, because adventure and travel and new places is so important to me. And I didn't have a framework for it because I hadn't traveled. I hadn't had a lot of experiences. Right. Our family vacations were not, did we take family vacations? I think we would just stay in a hotel and swim in the swimming pool. That was the cool thing, right? At the time.
Sure.
Let's just go and, rent a hotel room at the Holiday Inn Express and
that was a
let
big
the
deal.
Kids swim for 2 days. We never really took any big family vacations or had any new experiences. So that was a huge push for me that was a big why.
Right.
To do the things that I knew that I was going to be resistant to doing, on my way to what I consider success.
Yeah. I've always found it interesting because, and I was exactly the same way I think to a degree. We're raised in an era in history where there's so many different things that have been created by human beings. We're around it. We're inundated with it every day, so that it's almost like it registers, oh, this is just normal, that there's all this stuff. But nobody really questions, how did it actually get here? I mean, everything had to be a vision in the mind of somebody to start with, and then they had to move toward that vision and then say yes and adjust as they went to it. But that seems to get glossed over because most of the teaching that we get as kids is about how to be safe and secure for the rest of your life and not make a mistake and don't piss anybody off type of an idea. And it's almost like we have to, something needs to come in and remind us how to think the way that we're actually programmed to create. Because that's the interesting thing about human beings, is that we have the intellect we have. All of the faculties of that intellect are creative faculties. It gives us the ability to completely create from nothing. Like, we're actually magical mystery people in what we have the ability to do, because it's like, where is all this stuff before you think of it? I mean, it's all in the universe. And we have this ability to bring this inner vision in and then take action on that vision as we start to see it. And I love that your idea with the business, how to reverse engineer this so that somebody gets a really good look at what that looks like and what that process is.
Yeah, I mean, think about children. You and I both had kids,
yeah.
And everybody was a kid at one time. They create entire worlds with their imagination.
That's true.
Like, they create alternate universes where anything is possible and there's no rules, right? And then it gets shut down.
Do you ever see those big giant? They look like spools, but they have cable on them, right?
Yes.
Okay. So when I was a kid, me and my friend, I don't know where we got it, but we had one of these, and we had it between two garages. We had it between our two garages. And that thing was a ship. It was a spaceship, a Batmobile. Like, it was a camping adventure. It was a UFO adventure. Like, it was everything. We would go play there all day long, all summer long, and every time it was a different adventure with this giant spool. We could climb on it and do things. And
yeah. And what kids can do with a cardboard box. It's
amazing.
Pretty incredible.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the whole idea for today is to let yourself dream a little bit. Give yourself some space and some quiet time to think about what you want your business to look like 3 years from now.
Right.
And then really hone that vision. Make sure that it excites you. Make sure you can feel it in your body.
That's exciting.
And don't censor yourself. There's nothing that you can't have. There's nothing that you can't do. Right? Like, keep open to possibility, because that's where the magic happens.
For sure.
All right. Thanks, David.
You bet.
Thanks for listening to the Successful Mind podcast. If you like what you've heard and you want to know more, go to davidnagel.com/free stuff.